Stars blazing so bright, calling the fight from vigilance. We stand from dawn to twilight. The empires rise and conquer. In the wild face of danger, carry on to the victory. You better take a deep breath. Each dawn it brings a bitter fight. Another chill may run down your spine. Fear looks beyond the other side. Carry on to the glory, to the great victory. Never give up till you die. Never give up in this life. For every war that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind. Hold your weapons, try to fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary. Chaos, sharpen your knife. Make way to find your destiny. Worship a man or a shrine. Can both recall a scattered. In the wild town of wardrobes, tearing down all the enemies. You better capture the arcs. The carriers may bug you down. Set up for the swiftest ride. Sneaky Texas work as a best alive. Carry on to the glory, to the great victory. Never give up till you die. Never give up in this life. For every war that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind. Hold your weapons, try to fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary. Across the ocean lands, stories will be told. How you struggle, how you try to define the world. With a sacred name, you are the one chosen to start up the storm. Never give up till you die. Never give up in this life. For every war that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind. Hold your weapons, try to fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary.
Hello, governors. Welcome to the 2024 Grand Prix round of 16, day number 2. I'm your host, Plato Gaming Caster and content creator for Razzle Kingdoms. And today, alongside me is a fellow caster, content creator, Dirty Dan. Glad to be back here with you, man. Dirty Dan, I believe you are muted. But as we continue on here, the Grand Prix is the pinnacle of competitive Osiris League, where the best of the best teams from both the international server and the Chinese server get to compete to prove themselves as the best Osiris League teams in the world. Today, we have a matchup against two Chinese server powerhouses, S96S versus GY16. So GY16 is seen as one of the tournament favorites, the reigning Chinese server Realm of Horus and Grand Finals champions, and have won the Grand Finals 3 of the last 5 seasons. Meanwhile, S96S is a newcomer to Osiris League and the Grand Prix and haven't made it through the qualifier stage, representing the realm of Anubis. As we try to get Dirty Dan's mic to start working here a little bit. Dirty Dan, can you hear me? You still cannot hear you. I don't think I'm deafened or anything. This is, technical difficulties as always when it comes to casting. There you go, Dirty Dansky. Hey, welcome. Glad you could join us, sir.
Oh man, it got me sweating over here. I'm like, oh man, what's going on?
Hey man, it happens. But will S96S continue the trend of upsets, or will GY16 take the next step towards being the Grand Prix champions? Dirty Dan, we finally get to see GY16 in action this season versus S96S. Yet another matchup against the Chinese servers. What are you thinking of this matchup so far?
I'm just really excited to see kind of what is, that perennial powerhouse from the Chinese server, right? I mean, if we look here, they're 1, 2, 3-time champion, 3-time grand final champion, a 2022 Chinese Grand Prix champion. Like it's just insane. They're kind of that team to beat, kind of almost similar to what 60 GT was a few years ago, and now 1093 in the international servers. So I'm very curious to see what these guys are made of, because it might be giving us a little bit of a glimpse as to what some of our final matches are going to look like. But then also, as you were kind of alluding to, will the chain of upsets keep occurring here? And is S96S going to kind of become that new kid on the block, taking down the OG beasts in GY16?
Yeah, a lot of hype coming from GY16. If you ask people who they think the favorites are, GY16, 466S, 93T are seen as, well, ever since, 60 GT and 489 have lost their matches, those three teams are coming up as teams people utter when they say, hey, this is going to be, up there in the rankings. So it'll be super interesting to see GY16 in their first steps. Because I will tell you this, Dirty Dan, last season when we were casting Grand Prix, there was the exact same expectations where GY16 was seen as the favorites of that tournament as well, and they fell in the quarterfinals of that tournament. So we'll have to see if that will set the precedent, if they will be able to overcome what happened last season, and if they use that the happening last season to continue to practice, to continue to get better, and to claim the Grand Finals championship this season, because this is quite it's quite the competitive amount of teams that we got going on here. All of the games have had something interesting, banger after banger after banger, and GY16 is going to be amongst them.
Yeah, very curious to see. And again, we've been seeing a lot of cool things come out of the Chinese server teams. So very curious to see what these guys have up their sleeves that, might change some things going forward and might change some strategies going forward.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen so many different iterations of mid play, of master strategying the arc away. Like, there's been some crazy plays from all these teams that we've been watching as we get into the game here. Man, we have S96S in the top left corner of the map. Meanwhile, we have GY16 in this bottom right corner. I mean, I'm telling you, Dirty Dan, I feel like we talked about this off stream. The Chinese teams have a creative approach to Osiris compared to the box standard that some of these international teams have been accustomed to. Well, what do you think we'll see this match?
Oh man, I'm curious to see if we see in the first arc fight maybe a early to the death call, maybe to try and maybe a little bit something that we saw from 732A yesterday, getting that first arc and really kind of keeping control of it. And it does seem too that I'm seeing kind of trending as well. A lot of the Chinese server teams are very nice balance, but it's a balance with is still kind of leans towards a building focus in a way. And we saw that in the last match, in the first match of the day, where we didn't see an all-in call for that first mid-arc fight. And we saw the teams still kind of delegating their extra troops to stay focused on some sort of building task. So just there's so much to look at for these Chinese server teams. And I think there's so much for the international teams to kind of take note of, to help in these matches going forward. Because remember, guys, too, if you lose this match, you're not out of the running. So this is a really nice opportunity to, if you do lose, learn from your mistakes, take some notes from the strategies that are being used at play here all throughout the tournament, and all the matches that you alluded to, Plato, we've seen kind of something new. So there's going to be a lot of tweaking that these teams can do, even if they do lose this match.
Yeah, I mean, we do say that you can make it in the losers bracket, but the losers bracket is looking rather stacked right now, which, I mean, if the losers bracket is looking stacked, how much more stacked is the winners bracket? There's just so much competition, so much good Osiris League gameplay, Osiris League leaders, Osiris League players. As the gates have started to fall, we have the Belisarius Primes feeding out of these cities, getting out there ASAP. We have double energetic usage. So we're not going to see the stocking up shenanigans that Chiskel and Brian Koo we're currently casting over there, as we see double C's racing out of the gates as well on the other side. Justinians, just getting the marches out as fast as possible. We could go ahead and zoom out here. Early sentry placement from GY16 outside of the gates of S96S. So they will know how many units are going to one side or the other. They could also predict, if we look at the vision of GY16, they could also predict how many units are going to the outer lane, how many units are going towards the inner lane, just from the trajectory of the lines here. So they do have vision. I'm sure they have a player, a member of the team keeping track of that. Meanwhile, we see a sentry that is pretty standard for the international server, used by S96S, a Chinese server team just outside of the Desert Altar, making sure that they know how many marches they need to send towards their Desert Altar, how many marches are defending their opponent's Desert Altar. So it looks like pretty Desert Altar centric sentries coming out from S96S.
Yeah, taking some notes from the international server teams perhaps. And it's curious too, we saw it in the last match, both teams using the sentries on the gates. So it's a curious play of why S96S does not use that sentry on the gate. Maybe just with all the times that they've probably seen GY16, with how many championship runs they've had, they kind of know what these guys' tactics are a little bit more down pat than probably what GY16 knows of 696S.
I will say this is a very defensive sentry from GY16, probably trying to scout out this sentry of S96S. They don't gain any vision from here. I guess they will gain vision if the Desert Altar fight goes towards S96S. We've seen the Chinese servers go from the Desert Altar, swing around to the Sky Altar, so they should have vision if that happens. But I think the sentry is definitely a defensive one, making sure that they do not see this outer lane play that they're trying to build. But look at the mass of troops coming from S96S towards the Desert Altar of GY16. Looks like a pretty heavy Desert Altar assault coming from them.
Yeah, it's kind of what you called out last match with the Chinese server teams kind of really favoring those inside lanes and kind of going on those opening moves, a little bit more of a min-max approach and kind of sending the house of sorts for those first Desert Altar fights, and then looking for a rotation to swing around onto an altar.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Both these teams, there's also a lot of Desert Altar presence from both these teams over there in the top side Desert Altar. Looks like the marches that were rotating to the Sky Altar are staying put on this bottom side, hiding in this fog of war. I mean, S96S should know that the units are there because it is within the gap of their two sentries. So GY16 fighting force with force, making all of their bottom side lanes stack up into one. The top side fight has already started. And GY16 going into S96S's Desert Altar Murder Ball as well. And this is quite the brawl from these two teams.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting to see, as we have just under a minute until these structures unlock. There is a Heraclius waiting in the background there for GY16 to get a nice snipe if they can get in there. and then properly garrison that advanced structure for GY16.
The garrisons look like the commanders. Have you played a Total War game where you have like a commander in the back? You don't want them to die. This is Heraclius, the commander, versus Eleanor, just cheerleading their troops into victory here. It looks like GY16 currently taking the... Oh, are they taking the lead? I don't know.
Swinging back and forth a little bit.
This is
here.
a back and forth. This is a pendulum swinging back and forth. 1-for-1 sad faces. I will say that S96S have the positioning advantage. They also have the first cap onto the desert, first tap rather, going towards the first capture. So a good hold from S96S, where the murder ball looks so even. It still looks pretty even, honestly. This looks like a 1v1 between players. That's how even that murder ball ended up being. Yep. Very rarely do you see a murder ball, results in both sides essentially stalemating.
Is it going to be a repeat of the first match? Is this going to be another side by side, swing for swing, move for move action like we got in the first match? Is looking like it.
Currently, the one advantage that they have on the map here is having this Shrine of Life. There is an XY garrison though. XY is squishy out in the open field. As a garrison, you can't even imagine how squishy XY is. So this should be swarmed down. There is now a CPO Prime, but the swarm is inevitable. They will be able to retake that structure. They have been able to secure the Desert Altar. The real question is this bottom side where the Shrine of War is currently getting swarmed. It looks like that should hold. Yeah, the marches swarming it are pretty low.
Keeping an eye on that bottom side a little bit. GY16 did a nice job clearing that initial murder ball and then going for the rotations on both of those structures for their assigned teams. But again, the troops just being a little bit too low and not going to have an effect here on trying to sneak a capture on those.
There we go. So it looks like the structures are stable outside of the Shrine of Life. The structures look pretty stable here. I mean, there are a lot of GY16 marches, but look at we were talking about discipline last match. Look at this discipline this match. All of these marches, just 1 HP. Trying to... And notice how they're not even swarming the Sky Altar. They could sad face on the Sky Altar, but they're trying to do the same thing to S96S. Try to damage the troops as much as possible so that now these marches of F96S are going to be low. And now they'll have to decide, do we start going towards... what structure or do we start refreshing, like what should we do?
It's all those intangibles that we talk about too, right? All the micromanaging that you have to do. And I think a lot of the times as us as viewers and even sometimes commentators, we think it looks so easy for what these players are doing, but these are actual players on the other side of these screens, making moves, making plays, making decisions on the fly. And you can just see a lot of really good discipline in these Grand Prix matches so far.
Yeah. We have 4 minutes left until Arc spawns. We have, all things considered, a pretty standard timer for a mid-rotation, but what we've seen from the Chinese teams is that they actually fight late in these arcs. They rotate late to these arcs so that they continue pressuring structures.
Yep.
GY16, they are sending mid-presence, but you could also see that the cities that teleported over are sending marches towards the Sky Altar, are sending marches towards the Shrine of War. They're not all just funneling in mid, they are going elsewhere on the map. There are a lot more red dots in the outer lane and going towards structures than there are blue dots. They did flip the Desert Altar, so that is a huge win for them. Minus 300 points at least for S96S. The Shrine of War, Shrine of Life, and Shrine of War plays also paying off right now, as those first occupation points have not come through as well. So there are, the tempo advantage, at least to me, looks like GY16 kind of has an omnipresent approach to this map, just sending troops everywhere, poking around and seeing how S96S responds.
Yeah, it is really interesting to see the although maybe minor differences. It's a minute or two here, a minute or two there, but again, we're 3 minutes about now for the arc spawn, and GY16 still staying kind of diligent on the building game and not sending their entire force onto the middle for this first arc fight here.
Yeah, this looks like a sneaky tactics murder ball if I've ever seen one. This looks like a murder ball that is going to go invisible and try to poke down the arc. And it looks like they're going to try to go buildings to respond to that. I mean, Shrine of War has not gotten, Shrine of Life rather, has not had first occupation points retrieved yet. You could tell because when they took it, it's a 3-minute timer instead of a 2-minute timer. So that's 400 points. That is still up for grabs. GY16 using Dust Up. They have a huge number of forces around the Sky Altar. GY16 is going buildings.
Going full building at that too. They're leaving a very, very small contingent of troops on that mid fight. So I think you're right in there that there's probably going to be a sneaky tactics call there. But again, this is some of the cool things that we see with the Chinese server teams. I mean, just opting to take a different approach for these first mid fights and just saying, hey, we're gonna force you to overcommit on troops into the middle, and we're just gonna go and snag a bunch of your buildings.
I think teams that are confident, teams that can make plays and changes on the fly are the teams that are winning these Osiris League games. And when you don't go mid, which is the typical play that we see at least in the international server, you go mid, try to win. If you don't, then that sucks. What these teams are doing when they go buildings, it's making the onus go towards their opponents. Now their opponents have to be, do we start rotating out of mid? These are marches here that have been standing here for 4 minutes, not exerting any pressure on the map at all. They're probably second guessing, like, should we go building? Should we try to take back our Sky Altar? Should we try to take back our Desert Altar? Because the points per minute right now, 280 to 560, and that is with them still having this Desert Altar, which is destined to fall unless S96S's garrisons can say anything about it. But with how many units are around here, how many units are swarming the reinforcements, the Desert Altar has fallen 130 points per minute to 560, and that's just the beginning of it.
That is huge. And then you also have GY16 with the sneaky tactics play in the middle. There is some troops that are concealed here, so they are up to something kind of maybe a little bit similar what we saw in that first match, where S96S thinking that they have this first arc, starting to disperse their troops in the middle. While GY16 is just sneaking around. They have no idea those troops are there, Plato.
I think they have some idea, but I mean their structures are falling apart. They are. That's the pressure. That's the pressure of sneaky tactics. Is you go buildings, go sneaky tactics. You don't know how many marches exactly you need to send middle, and now you could see that they are starting to swarm down this arc carrier. They used Bog Down as well, so that the marches here are slower.
Wow!
I still think S96S have the numbers. I still think they have control, but the real question is how fast can they get control back of their own structures, and will winning mid be worth the amount of control they gave up for these structures? Having 4 altars, their opponents having 4 altars must be nerve-wracking for their team, because now it's like we are just bleeding a lead. 130 points per minute to 730 points per minute is an astronomical amount.
It's really hard to come back from, and just ask any 60 GT players from yesterday how hard it is to come back from a 4 altar difference.
And you could see that even if they capture this arc, they will capture this arc. They should have control. They will still be down. There is a 3.2k difference in points. The first arc giving 3k. So overall, if we look at the points lead right now with the arc being captured, it is still a lead to GY16.
I think the one thing here is like it's such a tough call even still, because like yes, you kind of now have just mitigated that first set of arc points, but you now also give control to S96S, where they can now kind of dictate this a little bit because they are holding the arc. So still is kind of a gamble a little bit in a sense, but I also think too that GY16 knowing this also is now making their provisioning call. I count 5, 6 on the field already in just this first couple minutes of the match opening up.
Yeah. I mean, it is now up to 3.8k. I will say this is pretty unique. They had a couple of marches from middle just go to the outposts. They captured all 3 outposts of GY16. Taking away 90 points per minute, it is pretty, is something. It's not only taking away 90 points per minute, it's also taking away the true vision that they would have had on the arc carrier. If you guys do not know, if you have all 3 of your home outposts, you will have true vision. If we look at the vision now, they have no vision of the arc whatsoever because their outposts were taken. So, perhaps it was to disrupt the points, but also keep the arc in fog of war for S96S. Just trying to make sure that they have full control of this arc. They are now starting to get control of their Desert Altar, the Shrine of Life. The Shrine of Life first occupation points did go over to GY16, so that is what they sacrificed on top of the points that they would have gathered, the points that they lost due to the structures flipping. This Sky Altar though looks like it is firmly in GY16's grasp, but there are so many marches from GY16 just standing here waiting for the murder ball. It is creating points for GY16. What S96S is doing is saying, hey, because you have marches at our Sky Altar, you're probably missing marches at the Desert Altar, so let's start pummeling that Desert Altar, see if we could trade altars and see how you'll react.
Yeah, and a lot of those marches that were just at the Sky Altar were looking pretty healthy too. And then Desert Altar play here from S96S, and kind of again seeing a little bit more of what we saw from last match in these trades.
Yeah, attempted trade at least, because GY16 is coming in with the reinforcements, with the Ethelfleds, trying to get, with the double C's, trying to get the reinforcements there as fast as possible. I mean, I don't even see the rally on this.
I don't see one either. I believe there is a rally.
It's in the back here. It's in the back. Yes. It's a CPOA versus and Tariq, which is pretty swarmable compared to the CPOA with Pakal. I actually think GY16 will have a huge hold here. So holding their Desert Altar while also holding the opponent's Sky Altar, absolutely huge play from them.
And then even on the top side too, even harassing the Desert Altar of S96S as well. So GY16 really putting this pressure onto all of the buildings right now, all the key buildings, all the altars.
That is why S96S felt pressured to score the arc early. They did score the arc about a minute ago.
Yep.
So the score now is the true score with an arc capture. That's 3k points. They're still down by 2.5k. Just absolute building dominance so far. 9.3k occupation score to 4.8, being the big difference in this match so far for GY16.
It's huge. It's kind of the classic battle that we kind of, I think, talk about somewhat regularly in the international servers. There's definitely some teams that sway very hard on building game, and there's other teams like a 60 GT or any of the 1960 teams who really favor those that mid strategy. So kind of a little bit similar to what we're seeing here.
Yeah, I mean, it was not an instant capture. I believe they walked it to their cities before. Or perhaps to the Shrine of War. But I mean, I guess that's one of the strategies. If you keep capturing arcs over and over and over again, the building game becomes less and less relevant. If you go arc game, you still need to control your own altars though.
Yes.
And there are going to be 4 altars, Dirty Dan. 4 altars generating points for GY16. That is disaster for S96S as the lead continues to grow. There you go. Yeah. Desert Altar now starting to generate points. Man.
Really scary. Really, I mean, even during some of these casts, Plato, I mean, the time goes by so quickly, and 4 altars in hand, that's a lot of points. And like I said, the time goes so fast in these arc matches, and it's really hard to recover from if you don't kind of stabilize your building game here. As you alluded to just before, like, you need to at the very least get your home structures under control and under grasp and generating points for you.
As talk about home structures, they finally got the Desert Altar back. It looks like they are still trying to attack the Sky Altar. The Sky Altar has been under GY16's control for pretty much half the game, 3/4 of the game. It's been theirs for a while, draped in red, as S96S is trying to redecorate it back to the home blue. They have the rally sets. They are starting to swarm. Is this what this is?
Yeah, I was just gonna call that out. Yep.
Attila with Saladin. Very interesting combo. I don't think I've seen that before, but I mean, if it works, it works. They got the Sky Altar back. The structures are now finally stable. And they also have first rotate mid. So there are a lot of good things happening for S96S. It looks like GY16, they have a contingent over here, perhaps trying to figure out if they are going to go towards the Sky Altar or if they're going to go mid. Perhaps a Master Strategies play, which I don't know where they would teleport to. But it is quite odd to see a Murder Ball just stand on top of a sentry. That means that they do not want to be seen. The sentry, by the way, look at it, can see opponent's sentries, so it is like a defense of sorts that your opponents cannot see around you. Meanwhile, S96S putting a bunch of sentries middle. And it looks like this mid fight is going to start a bit early here. 3 minutes and they're starting to fight back and forth. What is this, KVK? They're playing back and forth style. Like they have to pay resources and speed ups when they take sevs. This is the Grand Prix server where each of these accounts are even.
I do like this play from S96S and just trying to disrupt GY16 a little bit here. I'm a huge believer in kind of exerting pressure onto your opponents and not letting them want to do what they want to do. So I like this play here from S96S to kind of get a little bit aggressive in the middle and trying to get a little bit of a more favorable positioning advantage for when this arc spawns in just under 2.5 minutes.
I mean, Desert Altar retaken by GY16.
Man, oh man.
So it looks like Sky Altar. This is what we were talking about earlier, Dirty Dan. The marches that were just standing on top of that sentry. They were standing there for a reason. They are standing there to surprise S96S. Give them a little bit of a Halloween scare with the amount of murder, the amount of marches around the Sky Altar. The one player there is now running for their lives. So GY16 opting into another building game. Looks like the marches that attacked the Desert Altar are now wrapping around, perhaps trying to sandwich S96S. I mean, if you're S96S, what do you do in this situation? Do you have your marches mid, you have people now trying to retake the Desert Altar. Your Sky Altar looks like it's bound to fall.
That's so tough. And it's even tougher too because they know that contingent of troops is starting to wrap behind them now. So like as you just listed out, there's kind of 4 things that S96S now has to make a decision on. And where we were just kind of talking about exerting pressure and, you know, kind of forcing your opponents to make a move or not letting them get settled, GY16 now is doing that to S96S. I honestly wouldn't know where to make a call here. It's very tough.
And that's what happens is the teams that are so creative that make all these plays, your opponents have to answer. But what happens is GY16 using to the death here. So it looks like they're going for a mid play as well. Sneaky tactics used by S96S in response, trying to get that attack buff. Looks like To the Death actually responded by S96S. So To the Death used by both teams. Sneaky tactics being the difference maker.
Yeah.
Man.
I think they had to mirror the To the Death there. for sure.
This is such a big mid fight for both teams. If GY16s win this, they could essentially close out the game. If S96S wins this, I mean, they would even out the game, right? They'd even out the game pretty much with an arc capture here.
Yep.
And it looks like S96S having control around the temple, having the double C tap the arc rather, and now the double C is having a clean pull, and S96S winning that mid fight. That GY16 they did contest. GY16, what did they get on the map? They were able to flip the desert altar, which we saw earlier. They're able to capture the sky altar, but it's not complete structure dominance that we've seen in that first arc. So S96S, all things considered, they should be pretty happy with what's going on outside of the sky altar being captured.
Yeah, I agree. They did that quick enough too that they can now, race back to their building priorities and maybe try to stop this sky altar from starting to generate any significant points. I think it will at some point start to generate points for GY16 as it has for a majority of the match, but I think that they will prevent it from generating any significant amount of points.
Yep, that is going to be a huge winning point for GY16, but that one sky altar, I don't know if it's going to be enough. Depends how long they can hold it. As it looks like there are some marches starting to chip away at the arc carrier. Try to slow down perhaps the capture of this. It is dangerously close to the Shrine of War, so what that tells me is they might be trying to capture it early, or they're just trying to path it as... I don't know about this pathing, Dirty Dan. Look at the amount of marches coming out.
They gotta move. They gotta move.
GY16 seeing the our sharks in the water, seeing their prey right now. But it looks like S96S have a big enough murder ball. Thumbs up coming up from GY16 players saying, all right, we see you. We see the murder ball. Well, you guys should have control of this arc.
It's dropped again, is delaying. Oh man, S96 got to get a move on that. Again, I think here you kind of want to act fast. You want to get back onto your building priorities. You don't have to worry about this arc for very much longer. You have to go back in and start to firmly stabilize the buildings, as there are 3 altars in hand for GY16 generating points. S96S has to really get a move on this arc and get it safe and secure at the very least, if they're not going to go ahead and straight cash it.
Yeah, GY16, exactly, Jayden. They are trying to prolong this extended arc, trying to make sure that S96S has to stay honest around this arc. What that allows them to do is they can't retake the sky altar, because there's another GY16 murder ball just waiting on top of that sky altar, generating points for them. And this lead just continues to grow for GY16. GY16 now by about like 3.7, approaching 4K, which is more than the 3.5 that the arc would provide. This is exactly what GY16 wants to happen. And look, they're like, all right, we're going towards the arc. We're just going to take the Shrine of War. Wait, they're taking the Shrine of War, Dirty Dan. The arc is up for grabs, and they're taking the Shrine of War.
So S96 had to move quick on that. This is, this GY16, all these moves, I'm getting serious 93T vibes. This looks like a well-oiled machine that we're watching here. Just kind of being a step ahead of S96S in a lot of ways right now.
GY16 winning by about 4K now. They are swarming down the Shrine of War, trying to make that flip. Looks like they will be unable to, but that arc is so dangerously close to the shrine. If that shrine flips and they're able to somehow steal it, that would spell disaster. And look at the marches coming from
the Sky
Altar. The Sky Altar reinforcement marches coming through.
Well,
oh my goodness.
This is crazy. Okay, you know what? We'll leave the Sky Altar. It's supposed to be yours anyway. Let's go and try and snag this arc in a second wave, in a second attempt.
GY16 saying, hey, we built up the lead now. We're up by 4.1K. Let's try to go for the home run and take this arc away from you. Take this Shrine of War away from you. And my goodness, this is probably the most contested Shrine of War I've seen in a while. People usually not caring about the shrines. This shrine, though, being the capture point potentially for GY16, S96S trying to deny GY16 from being able to capture. GY16 with a pull, taking it further away from S96S. But with the reinforcement timers, the sad face is coming out from GY16. It looks like S96S will have control of this arc. The much needed control of this arc. And now the question stands, do they decide to capture or do they hold?
I think they have to. I mean, and obviously they don't know this, but I was just glancing around the map. There's a
Frederick arc carrier, by the way. This is someone that was trying to fill the Shrine of War. In voice comms, they're like, someone pick it up. So this guy, all right, I'll do it. So we got the Freddy, Julius Caesar. We got like the MG pre KVK1 commanders out here being arc carriers. Yeah, Dad, what was you saying?
Yeah, there's. I was just glancing around. There's still a lot of provisioners out on the field for GY16 as well. So. Again, I know obviously S96S doesn't know how many, but they have to get a move on, and I think they have to score this arc and go for a third.
Yeah, I think GY16 would win just from the provisioners. You would wish that S96S would have the provision advantage because they're the ones that are down even with the arc.
Mm-hmm.
But GY16 would actually edge them out in terms of a provisioning score as well. They're also winning on this top side in terms of structures. This top side for S96S, the Desert Altar, is going to start generating points soon for GY16. So GY16 just having the presence to take down these altars to 90 points per minute to 550 points per minute. It's GY16's kind of pulling S96S all over the map, and S96S are kind of getting dizzy, I think.
I'm getting dizzy just watching it. I can only imagine if I was actually playing in the match. And it looks like S96S is going to be holding on to this arc, maybe in an attempt to hopefully first stabilize their buildings and then go in for the cash.
Yeah, I mean, both teams used to the death. Both. I will say, I think, S96S used more skills. They used sneaky tactics and they used dust up. So technically, I think GY16 should have a point advantage. So perhaps they're trying to delay and build up some points for that, make Energetic do its thing so that they can start generating some points for that last and final decisive mid-fight. But Dirty Dan, I feel like GY16, they are up by 5k, 5.2k, minus 3.5 mental math. That means GY16 still in the lead. GY16, I feel like they can go buildings if they want to yet again because of how many provisions they have out. They don't necessarily have to contest that third arc.
That mid arc, yeah. Wow, it's a very similar scenario to what you and Chiz saw yesterday on the 60 GT match. I believe they kind of have that option to kind of play a little bit of a fake out on that last mid arc fight now.
I mean, with GY16, there's a murder ball outside of the Desert Altar, murder ball outside of the Sky Altar. They did retake the Sky Altar, by the way, on the bottom side, GY16. This is, I don't even think it's S96S's home Sky Altar anymore. I think this is GY16's second Sky Altar.
I was thinking the same thing, my friend. Literally the same thought just came across my head.
Just absolutely having dominance, having control of the Sky Altar of S96S. It's pretty uncanny. The fact, I think they're over-indexing people in the outer lane to take the Sky Altar, and the people in the inner lane here swarm down the rally one or fill the structure.
Mm-hmm.
It really feels like GY16 is omnipresent. They are all over the map, pressuring different points, and S96S are just behind in tempo.
Yeah, just playing off that back foot. And again, I think just some of the tactics, like even like you called out here, like just going in for the insta swarm on the rally, getting the rally dead, because the main thing with the rally is it's tanking for the swarmers, and the swarmers are really kind of what's going to punish a structure. And as soon as you get the rally off of a structure and it starts doing pure damage to all the swarmers around it, that's really what you want. And I think GY16 just using a lot of those little small intricacies to their advantage is what is putting them so far ahead right now.
One thing also is usually they stuff the forward garrison inside of the rally. So if you swarm down the rally, you kill the forward garrison. So even if they take the structure, it should be easier to swarm back. So there are a ton of merits to swarming down the rally, as S96S is doing against this Nevsky Justinian attacking the Shrine of War. Looks like the arc was just captured, Dirty Dan, so there will be a third arc.
Third arc, 2,000 point difference right now. It's definitely still doable for S96S here.
Game is still up for grabs. GY16 though are feeling comfortable because of the amount of provisioners they have. They have the lead. They've shown that they are able to win buildings, as they still hold, by the way, they still hold the sky altar that we've been referring to, and it's healthy. This is like a brand new sky altar.
Oh,
they have backup marches. They literally have a double C just waiting to reinforce. More double C's coming in. So they look quite comfortable right now with the lead that they have, even going into a third and potentially decisive arc.
Yeah, I mean, this is a building game if I've ever seen one, and a GY16 I think is putting on a masterclass, and I'm almost curious too. I mean, obviously you only have very limited skills, but from what we saw last Osiris League, some of the building centric teams, such as I believe it was Wib, was playing a little bit of a building centric, using Valiant Stand, and I can only imagine what these guys would be able to pull off if they had a skill on the board like Valiant Stand. But Grand Prix time, I don't think that there's time for skills of this nature, but still would be very interesting to see with a team that is so good as they're showing right now on this building game.
And we were talking about the arc was captured, but with the positioning of GY16, you would not have known that the arc was captured. Look at how many marches are still going towards the Sky Altar, still going towards the Shrine of War. All the marches right now, no one's going mid. 6 minutes to go. It is pretty early, but that's international server standards. If you die by 6 minutes, you start walking mid and start twiddling your thumbs. Chinese servers, they do not want to twiddle their thumbs. They do not want to wait. They want to go and defend and attack structures,
especially on a last arc. Like you would definitely be seeing teams in the international server beelining it for this mid fight, with knowing that the last arc is going to be, make or break.
Yeah, I mean, with the amount of building focus that GY16 has shown throughout the game, maybe this is the response of S96S saying, hey, like, we know you guys want buildings. We've seen you guys do buildings. We're actually going to wait for you to rotate mid once. See what happens. We're going to protect our buildings for once. Sky Altar actually having a semblance of protection as mid spawns. As mid is spawning. So they have kind of adjusted to GY16's building game, not going full mid, sending out some marches to defend their structures, although this Sky Altar is still getting pretty low. But it should be able to hold compared to all the other times that GY16 has tried and successfully taken the Sky Altar.
Yeah, I love the on-the-fly adjustments too. As you're calling out, hey, like we know that this is what you're strong at, and you're going to continue to kind of pressure us on this. So we're going to kind of counteract that, and we'll play into your hand a little bit here, and we'll play on the defensive and make sure that we hold our structures. And I think that's also important too, right? Because going into this, with needing the points, with it being such a tight margin, they do really need to secure their home structures and then go to middle. This is kind of something yesterday on the stream that I covered with GV77 against the NE3T, where GV77 opted to though they lost their Sky Altar, I should say, on the last arc, which was very crucial, and it caused them to divert some resources to go and get that back. Although I think that they probably shouldn't have. They could have lived with it, but it is very important here for S96S, with the margin being so tight, to stabilize those buildings and then start heading into this potential last arc.
2.7k being the difference between these two teams. And this is the first arc GY16 has first rotation to. This is the first time we've seen no blue marches rather go mid for this last arc. I'm curious as to why they're not rotating mid. What is the plan for S96S? Are they going buildings this time? And are they gonna go for an arc steal? I'm not exactly too sure what the plan is here, but I'm excited to see how S96S executes with 3 minutes left, and there's nobody here. It's an actual desert around the Temple of Osiris. I have to zoom out to dot mode to see the closest marches. And it's just like 3 players from GY16. This is the most unique final arc I think I've seen.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is so fun. International teams, take notes, because I mean, the last Osiris League, I think we're kind of seeing a lot of the same thing over and over again. And in just two matches now, for myself at least, really watching in depth and casting these Chinese server teams has just been so fun. It's been extremely fun to see all the different ways to kind of approach these arc matches.
We have a Sky Altar attack coming from S96S, trying to take a page from GY16's book, trying to, fight them with the strategy that GY16's been doing. GY16 actually having a murder ball in front, in between mid and the bottom side, making sure that this bottom side cannot rotate mid. I don't know if S96S has an answer to this, because this is a huge murder ball, just one by one wiping marches as they rotate mid. And there's like 3 people, maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 march. You can count them with your hands. How many marches are in S96S that are middle? And that's the real question. They need to win this arc. I think S96S know they need to win this arc. How will they go about it? I think there's a master strategies play here, where they try to snipe the arc, because that's the only way that's the only thing I could think of. The only reason why I could think that they would sack the arc for structure is when they're down by about like 2.6k points.
Yeah, definitely going to be some kind of tricky play here. And I think also too, with even S96S kind of trying to take the page out of GY16's playbook, but might be throwing off their kind of like their cadence a little bit. Like this is something that they're not quite used to, so you can kind of see that it's not as smooth as how GY16 kind of enacts this play, and you're kind of seeing it a little bit here as S96S loses their home desert altar.
Yeah, I mean, when GY16 does that play, GY16 doesn't lose at altar. Essentially, they traded the Sky Altar for the desert altar. Meanwhile, GY16 have full mid control. There is a murder ball of marches from S96S just meandering about, looking like they're gathering because of how far back they are. This is going to be the sneaky tactics marches, I guess. Sneaky tactics. Okay.
I think so, and it's
Desert Storm used in response. Steadied in. So they are not invisible. The play. These marches could have helped defend the desert altar. Desert altar flipped. Now the sneaky tactics, they're seen. They're seen with the Desert Storm play, and now what can they do? They have no mid control. They have a T1 marcher crying out loud, just trying to do something here, just as a scout. I think.
Yeah, the GY16 was all over that play. As soon as they saw that little small murder ball, it's a kind of a telltale sign now in arc play. When you see a little bit of a smaller murder ball, it was totally snuffed out. They knew exactly what S96S was trying to do there.
GY16 going buildings for so long that their opponents felt pressured to go buildings. And now this arc, it is down, but they should have complete control. They're even in buildings with their opponents going building game, just taking the Shrine of Life. That's the only advantage they have. Murderballing in front of the Desert Altar. I feel like GY16, they have a clear path to victory now if they capture this arc.
Definitely. I think they have S96S a little bit scattered here. Kind of like you said, they're kind of making them dizzy. There were so many things and so many priorities throughout the entirety of this match. And honestly, props to S96S for staying as composed as they did, because GY16 was just really forcing them to make tough decisions for the entirety of this arc match, and that can be extremely draining.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about gameplay like this is your leadership cannot micromanage you. Sure, there's going to be like a team, you do this, team, you do that, but there's going to be calls that players have to make for themselves. And
absolutely,
in my opinion, it looks like GY16 being the more experienced team, and the experience is definitely showing. You know, their leadership, they're the ones that are making S96S have to make these decisions. S96S has been playing pretty reactive throughout the whole game here. Now finally having control of 3 altars, although the Sky Altar looks like it is under pressure, no backup. Sky Altar should fall. So they had control for 3 altars for maybe 30 seconds, and now it is back in GY16's hands.
Just not enough. And then not to mention all the provisions that are going to start to pour in. Some have already started pouring in already for GY16.
Does Sneaky Tactics hide the arc carrier?
Let's see.
It does not. It does not. They still have full vision of the arc carrier, but they do not have the vision of the marches around the arc carrier. Interesting. Okay.
They do have all the outposts in hand, so that might be from the true vision potentially.
We'll have to see. The arc is getting swarmed down. The march is now coming out of fog. You could see the S96S marches getting sad faced out. Arc carrier still alive and kicking. And as this arc gets closer and closer, the upset dream of S96S gets farther and farther away, as Liu Che with CPO Prime being the one to bring it home for them. There is one player with 4 marches AFK here just waiting. Is there an obelisk seal perhaps? I don't, there's no way that they allowed this arc to get stolen with it being right next to the cities, right?
We've seen some pretty funky things so far in this Grand Prix. I wouldn't put it past for something like that to happen.
There's no way this arc gets stolen, right?
Now maybe
GY16, they want to hold it for another 2 minutes. That's 100% because they want to make sure there's not a 5th arc that spawns. If this arc carrier dies, there might be a play where they can use master strategies if they have it on their bar. They're using master strategies! Am I an oracle or what? They are using master strategies on the arc as it drops. Are they going to be able to steal it? Oh my gosh. GY16 picked it up. Oh, GY16 with the clutch pickup.
So close.
Oh, that was so close. GY16 though, coming clutch with the master strategies.
Staying composed,
making sure that they picked up the march, the arc, making sure that they sad face the marches that were trying to pick up that arc. That was 2 seconds away though of that arc going towards S96S, and perhaps the lead going towards S96S. Now it should be pretty safe for GY16. There's no, you can only use master strategies once per game. But what a close call. My goodness, Dirty Dan. That was, as soon as that arc went down, I'm like, there is some master strategies play going on right now, because there's no way they commit that many marches, as they did capture the arc. That will be the final arc. So GY16 up by 5k. And I don't think S96S can win from structures and provisions with how the game has been going on. They'd have to turn, they would have to somehow flip what's been going on this whole game. The whole reason they're down is because of the structure game of GY16. I don't think that's going to go away in the next 7 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. And this does so much for the game and for the realm of Osiris League, right? Again, like where we've seen in the international servers some teams be building focused, but I don't think they've been as good on building focus as this. And I feel like now that we're seeing kind of like work into a little bit of the meta with at least in the Chinese server, there's kind of like this mind game that goes on with this whole mid. Like, are we going to show up? Are we not going to show up? Are we going to cause you to overcommit troops? Are we not going to cause you to overcommit troops? So really kind of like, I think even again, calling back to your guys' match yesterday with 732A and 60 GT, just like I think we're seeing some really meta shifting things happen in this Grand Prix that I think we're going to start to see a lot more teams starting to adapt.
Yeah, I mean, the use of Desert Storm to, you know, to take away the usage of sneaky tactics, where there would be, for example, you would go building focus, use sneaky tactics so that you could delay the arc. We saw 489 do that against 60 GT in the finals of Anubis.
Yeah, a lot of these top
now
teams.
that Desert Storm is just throwing a whole nother loop in there, because you can't deny it or slow it down as much as you could before, because Desert Storm just taking away that invisibility, taking away that element of surprise that you would have relied on before.
A lot of the top teams starting to keep Desert Storm in their pockets. 1093 did exactly that yesterday against GV77. So a lot of these top teams really trying to key in on that counter usage for Desert Storm.
Man, this is such all things considered, GY16 being seen as a tournament favorite, not too much to be expected from S96S. They have put up a great showing here against one of the tournament favorites. I would be super surprised. I would be nervous in the losers bracket to fight a team like S96S if I had to fight against those guys, because they look pretty solid, all things considered.
And again, with this new format and there being a lower bracket which kind of keeps you alive, a lot of this like adapting and adapting to reasons on why you lost, right? So like S96S knows now that they cannot lose that Sky Altar. They cannot be held in the control of their enemy for about 70% of the match. And again, just even now, that'll give them the opportunity to then properly take the page from GY16, practice it, and implement it into their own routine. Because I think that they did do what they needed to do on that last arc, and really kind of focusing on the building game, kind of doing what you said, taking a page out of GY16's playbook, but it's just something that they're not used to. So it wasn't as smooth as when GY16 implements it. So this new layer of teams kind of staying alive and being able to adapt and kind of reform their strategies a little bit is going to add a whole nother wrinkle into this tournament. And I'm very excited to see the lower bracket, maybe even more so than the winners bracket, at least for the next couple weeks until we get into the later rounds.
I mean, there's a lot more at stake in the losers bracket. They're playing for their lives. The winners bracket, they are the teams that won. They should be higher quality in that respect, but it's a losers bracket is like game 7 of a series, right? Where you need to win, you need to clutch up, win or go home. those games should be super interesting. And especially because we have teams that people saw as favorites, 60GT, 489, in the losers bracket facing each other. One team out of those two are going to be out of contention for the Grand Prix. Literally being 0-2 in the Grand Prix, which, you know, before this tournament would have been absolutely crazy to think of.
That was not on my Grand Prix bingo card, Plata.
Yeah, that was not on my Grand Prix bingo card at all. But, you know, we are seeing the strength of these teams, the strength of the Chinese server, especially just showing in the head-to-head matchups. At least I believe they've won both of the head-to-head matchups that the Chinese team server had against the international server. So there are, it's going to be so interesting to see how this bracket shapes up. GY16 though, showing people as to why they are seen as favorites. You know, they've been under control this whole match, and they've continued to exert this control. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Gathering marches 17.
I was just looking at that as well. I love how we're on the same page, pretty much as an entire match. But I'm zoomed out here looking at it as just like, man, these guys just really just want to add it, really just want to put it on there, by unleashing the gathering horde. And what a showing by GY16. They're if you want to learn anything about Arc, just watch some of these Chinese teams. I mean, even from what we've been talking about in the discipline of letting the low health marches just kind of run around, and even going to lengths of running away from those marches, like you will learn so much just from watching these tournament matches.
And this is, you know, just masterclass from. We've seen so much good gameplay. The last match we casted was absolutely insane. This match, GY16 being in full control. I'm going to be so interested to see how GY16 plays the next couple of rounds here. Desert Storm used by GY16 for chip damage, I believe. Just try to damage the murder ball here. It does a minimal amount of damage. That's why people pretty much exclusively use it to counter sneaky tactics. But the fact that we're seeing so many different skills is so exciting, dude. And we barely have seen Desert Storm, at least during the last season of the Osiris League.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's been everything that these Chinese server teams are bringing to the table has been really, really quite nice. And I'm just kind of glimpsing at the bracket too, just to kind of give you and everyone else in chat the heads up. So this GY16 is going to face the winner of this 748W and Beer matchup, which on the other stream it looks like 748W is winning that match pretty handily by about 8,000 points. So you will see 748W, I believe the winners of the Realm, can't remember the Realm name, but they did win the Realm in Osiris League.
I think Realm of Basset, right? The third.
Yes, Realm of Basset will be going to fight GY16 next week.
Exciting stuff, man. I mean, hey, GY16 looking super strong. I'd probably bet on GY16, but hey man. There's been some upsets this tournament. That's all I'm gonna say. There's been some upsets, and we'll have to see if things continue to form here as the match is about to tick down. GG's to GY16. What a great performance from them. We could go ahead and see the scores here. It is 30.5. It's 30.5k to 41.1k for these teams. 6.9 provisioning for GY16, pretty close to the 732A.
15 provisioners is the mark now. Is that the new meta?
That is a new meta. When buildings are not flipping, we go looking for camels. But GG's to both teams. GY16 will go ahead and make their way through to the winners side of the bracket. Meanwhile, S96S will be able to prove themselves in the losers side, so should be a good matchup there. Appreciate everyone for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the official Rise of Kingdoms channel right here. And Dirty Dan, do you have any final notes?
Buckle up, guys. This tournament's already been pretty wacky in the first official weekend, and it's just gonna look to get even more intense as we progress to the later rounds. So yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited to keep going.
And be sure to subscribe to this channel to continue to watch the excitement of Grand Prix. And if you like the commentary, Dirty Dan and I's channels are in the description as well. And we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.